Okay. In that case, we'll go ahead and get started. Did not hear from Matt, so I'm assuming he'll be coming along. Welcome to the Select Board meeting. Today is the 12th of May, and we'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ed, would you like to read our preamble, please?
Sure. Oops. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the Open Meeting Law, General Laws, Chapter 30A, Section 18, and the Governor's March 15, 2020 and March 23rd order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place, this meeting of the Town of Southampton Select Board is being conducted via remote participation. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings as provided for in the order. A reminder that persons who would like to listen to or view this meeting while in progress may do so by go to zoom.us/join, hit join a meeting in the top right of your screen, type in meeting ID 889-2958-3703, password 658884, hit join. Please be sure to mute your device when joining in. Note, to join in video meeting with cell phone, you will need to download the Zoom app from the App Store. Call-in telephone number is 646-558-8656, or by watching Public Access TV, Charter Spectrum Channel 191. In-person attendance and public comment at Select Board meetings will be suspended until further notice. If you email a written public comment before the scheduled Select Board meeting, it'll be read at that Select Board meeting. If you email a written public comment after viewing something at a live televised Select Board meeting, it'll be read at the next Select Board meeting. Please send your public comments via email to selectmen@townofsouthampton.org. Please note that all public comments must be within the requirements of the policy on public comments listed in the open time for the public on the Select Board agenda.
Thank you, Ed.
You're welcome.
Hi, Matt. So we have no public hearings, no appointments, resignations. Does anybody have any reports from the Select Board that you want to mention? No?
Not really.
Okay. The Council on Aging did meet, but I'll forego. This is mostly a meeting to finalize the article and budget. But I did want to mention that there was an email that I received from someone from the Conservation Commission giving us an opportunity to opt out of mosquito spraying. It did require the Board of Health being involved. And so I did contact the Board of Health. They're meeting right now, actually, and I did get a text back from them. And I talked to my sister, who's an entomologist, and basically you only have to the 30th of May to put together an alternative plan to mosquito spraying. And what the Board of Health passed along to me was that they're not going to support trying to opt out. There will not be a way to establish an alternative plan in 22 days. And there has not been any spraying in this area. Also, we learned if there was an emergency, they will do spraying anyway. So I think as a town that signed on to the Monarch Pollinator Pledge, I think that my sister had advised that it might be very difficult to come up with an alternative plan, but that should be something that we would research 6 months out and spend a little bit more time discussing it. I know that there's been EEE, not necessarily in horses in our area, but I believe as part of the surveillance project that we're a part of, I did encourage Kate to pass along that if they're not getting reports on the mosquito surveillance in Hampshire County, then they should probably be requesting those. So that was the only thing I wanted to pass along. It was just something that came in literally yesterday, so I tried to get some information on it, and Kate just texted me back just now. Mm-hmm. Nobody else has anything else you want to talk about as far as the committees?
Not really. The ad hoc grant committee met this afternoon. We're looking at 2 or 3 grant possibilities, one for parks, one for COA, and one sort of road safety grant. So we're investigating all the innards of what has to be put together to apply for those. 2 of them have a very short deadline at the end of May, and one is in mid-July. So we'll be meeting again next week.
Okay. Is the one for COA, is that the one from Highland Valley?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Ed,
Okay.
do you have any? Huh?
I'll just add that the Finance Committee and the Zoning Board of Appeals both met on Monday, May 10th. Finance Committee continued their deliberations over the budget. They're going to meet again on the 23rd to finalize their recommendations to the Select Board. Because I attended the Finance Committee, I was unable to attend the ZBA, and they had it at Kona Park, so it's not something that's recorded. So I'll just have to follow up with the minutes. Just to let you know, the Bylaws Committee, Advisory Committee is meeting tomorrow, and the PQB is meeting next Thursday, May 20th.
Okay. Thank you, Francine. Ed, did you have anything for your town administrator report?
No, I'll just report that there continues to be a good amount of interest in pre-qualified vendors asking for bid packages for the East Street Bridge.
And what is the date of the select board meeting that we'll be opening the bids, opening up the bids? Is it
June 15th.
Pardon?
June 15th.
Okay.
15.
Yep. Okay. And on 6/1 is the date that we're having the presentation on the Housing Trust. And I'll send some information about that from Jim Senni, okay? So I guess that covers all the reports.
Actually, let me just add, Concom did meet just a short special meeting on Monday to vote to advance some funds to the tree issue on Strong Road with the idea of being reimbursed as we decided in our last meeting. So they did vote to move that forward, and Marla was going to check in with the K&J tree removal company to see what their timing is.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, so I guess there's no minutes to approve and there's no old business, so we can jump right into new business. Approval of ballot question operating proposition override. Also the highway single axle with truck with plow and sander dump truck replacement. That's a debt exclusion, and the greenway acquisition of right of way and or design debt exclusion, $270,000. So that's where we landed last time, $714,000 for the override. And last time we approved the budget, so we have a balanced budget. The dollar amount came out to 18 million. I don't know if you have that handy, but that was already approved, correct, Ed?
That's correct.
Okay. So I wanted to mention something else that has come up since, and I wanted to just get the feedback from the select board. I think what happened, I think the 2 things. One is, I think it would be a useful exercise for us to have a conversation after the fact with the finance committee. This is a fairly new finance committee, and our budget process this year felt pretty intense at the end. I think that it would be a useful exercise to have a discussion with them in conjunction with the budget bylaw and see basically how things went and what opportunities there might be for improvement. Or, I felt like they had met with all the department heads, and then of course we knew where things landed, where we had a balanced budget, $5,000 over, and then $48,000 under, and then the managing the school request and the whole process we went through was pretty intense. So I think it just might be a good idea at some point to have a follow-up with the finance committee, and we will find out what what they're approving on the budget. But I felt like we had a lot of good participation in meetings with them. But I just feel like it would be useful to have that sort of follow-up. The other thing I wanted to say is we had identified early on what our priorities were, and I, obviously Matt had mentioned about the schools, and we had mentioned about with the raises not happening last year, that we were absolutely positively set on making sure that there were COLA raises. We couldn't possibly go another year without giving raises. And so we also discussed the possibility of improving wages with people that are very far off the chart. And so we came up with anybody 10% or less on the chart. And so we ended up identifying positions that I'll call it tier 1, raised people that were off the chart, below the chart. And then tier 2 were people that were 10% or less above the minimum amount on the range. And so I wanted to just ask everybody, I mean, I think we all committed, and I think the Finance Committee said this also, that wages should be a high priority. So early on, I had identified the next tier up of people that were between 10 and 15% off the low mark. And we came up with a $714,000 override request. And early on, I'd identified a number of positions that were not that much higher above the 10%, but were less than 15% above the minimum range. And so there is a figure that's been calculated on what those positions are. And is there an interest on the behalf of the Select Board of including those positions with an additional 2% in the override request? So I think I have a chart of what positions they are, unless Francine has it somewhat handy.
I don't. I forwarded it to you and to Matt and to Ed, if one of you could share it. But Rini, could I just
yeah, sure.
Something? Yeah. We're referring to this chart where we're looking at this, which is the classification and compensation study presented by Art Lawrence in February of 2020 to the Select Board. And I would like to, if we could, propose to, since we're using it as our reference, that we should vote to adopt it so that it is our official reference in our records. I don't know how everybody else feels about it. You all have a copy of it. Or you just want to use it anecdotally. I'll leave that up to the group, but we are referencing it for these additional increases and citing minimums, benchmarks, and
this is Art Lawrence's thing you're suggesting?
Yes.
Yeah, it was on behalf of the PQB. I will say it was presented in February of 2020, and there were no raises in FY21. So for all intents and purposes, it's the most up to date. I do think the PQB was using previously another chart. And what ended up happening is I do believe there was a bunch of emails going around. I was having a hard time sorting them all out. But I do believe they altered the chart to increase additional 2% a year for even when there were no raises given in that particular year. Okay. So my feeling is that the chart that Francine's referring to is the most accurate.
Right. What they're using is a wage scale that they developed also by the PBB, and as they look at grade levels and hiring ranges and things like that. I mean, it does serve a purpose, but for our kind of trying to write the salary situation, the wage situation here in town, looking at what Art put forward, it certainly establishes some goals and benchmarks for us. Mm-hmm. And we use it as we're doing in this discussion. And I thought with that, we should formally adopt it as the instrument that we're going to follow until such time as it's either updated or we adopt something else. But it certainly is a guide that we rely on.
I think that I personally would, I think that would be important for us to say that we're adopting it for the purposes of establishing fair wages, or at least getting closer to that. I think that it might be good if we make the motion such that it's clear that it's for our current purposes, and then possibly have a meeting with the Personnel Policies and Procedure Board as a joint meeting. So that's the only thing I would say, is not necessarily jumping in and saying this is what we're going to use. I think that we ended up using it. I think that if we can say that we support the adoption of using it for this current exercise of writing wages to some degree, then and then agree that we'll have a joint meeting with them to perhaps maybe either before or after the election to kind of discuss this process. What do you think, Chris and Matt?
Well, it sounds, I mean, if we're using this compensation study, right, as kind of our guide, not the wage scale per se. I mean, each does sound like it has its own purpose. I agree. But I think, to the extent that we're trying to do some adjustments on salaries now to at least get closer to, if not meet a benchmark that was outlined, then I think, we ought to probably be clear that this is the document that we're using as our reference, and at least adopt it for the moment until something better comes along that we want to work with. It may need some revision in the future, but at least it's as recent as we have, right, from what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
It's actually, because we didn't give an increase in fiscal year 21, it is actually current on all the wages in town here for non-union workers. There are two exceptions, however, where there's just two slight errors in the numbers, and we can consider those as part of our amendment. But other than that, the document lines up perfectly with the payroll information that we got from the treasurer's office, and everyone has a copy of that.
Want to add anything, Matt?
I would not support the adoption of the document. I support the raises, but I don't support the adoption of a document that was done by an individual, not by a committee, and not checked, and is not independent. So I'm sorry that I support the raises, but I don't support the adoption of a document that was compiled in that way.
Well, okay, so I thought it was a presentation by PQB at the time.
No, it was a presentation by Art Lawrence, was my recollection, and it was the work done by him independently.
Really?
Not discredited in any way.
He wasn't. He didn't do the study, Matt. He presented it, but he didn't do the study.
No, he did do it. He did do it himself. Yes, he did. He compiled all the information, and it was well researched by Art. It was basically based on the Jacob study, and I'm looking at it right now. It says Town of Southampton Classification and Compensation Study, Non-Union Positions, Art the C. Lawrence, Personnel Policies and Procedure Board, February 2020. It says Classification and Compensation Study by PQB, February 5th, 2020.
That's what the document says.
Okay.
Okay. And as we're using it as a reference, I think we need to officially adopt it so that it's part of the record. And that does not preclude the salary scale. This is an instrument for a different purpose, which is writing, the wage situation that we're confronting and that we're trying to address. And this becomes the yardstick that we use at this point in time. That may change going forward, but for now, it seems to be the most reliable because the salary information is accurate. We're looking at projections going, for increases over minimum to benchmark to maximum. They're all, I think, certainly within reason. So I'm certainly in favor of adopting it.
And I believe that has been checked with our attorney as well, and there would be no reason why we would not be able to do that. And so we can limit it to, for the purposes of the current wage increases, this scale was used, and just to hold off from adopting it as a community until there's a joint meeting with PQB. I'd be fine with that.
Okay.
But I do think in some way we have to endorse what we used. It was not in any way haphazard. It was very mathematical and, based on the most recent chart we have.
Well, I would make a motion to adopt the the compensation study as our reference document for the purposes of the wage adjustment that we're undergoing right now.
And the only thing I would add to that is that there are two wages, position wages that are incorrect and would need to be corrected. And that would be that of the treasurer collector and the town clerk. They appear, there's a discrepancy between what we get from payroll and what this says about those two positions, but everything else is 100% correct.
Okay, and those adjustments were used in this process of the wage. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
The accurate one. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Tishman, aye.
Roden, aye.
Fowles, aye.
Boland, no.
Okay. Then that carries, at least for the first, and I think that we should have a meeting with the Personnel Policies and Procedure Board and have some discussion about that.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I agree. Thank you.
So if we want to go back to the original discussion, so we had tier 1, like I said, was raising people that were off the charts. Tier 2 was anybody that was in the low end of the range up to 10%. And then the question is, before the select board, is, do we want to take an additional step? This was mentioned early on when I first looked at this chart. There are maybe 7 positions that are not that much, they're still on the low end of the low range. And do we want to consider at least considering them as part of wage adjustment subject to the override?
I'm going to say no, because I don't think the community is going to support wage increases in an override, especially when we're already asking for over $700,000. Mm-hmm. That's why we purposefully did this. I mean, we could have put those other wages in there and we didn't, because we are prioritizing those wage increases. If we want to do that, then we might as well put them in the balanced budget. But I think that would be in haste and not, I mean, the analysis that it takes to do these things requires time, and to do them now would, in my opinion, it'd be an impossible task to do correctly. And I struggle with how we did it with the ones that we did adjust.
Well, I think that, everybody was given a 2%, and then anybody that was 0 to 10 on the low end got an additional 2%. And that was, I think the select board had really prioritized wages, and so did the finance committee. Anything that's, approved as an override, I'm not so sure that this, community wouldn't support raises for town employees. Once it's approved, the same amount of money is going to, it raises the, the amount that, not that it has to be applied to the same positions, but it definitely raises the amount that we would be able to have next year for these positions. So it's not like it's a one-time thing per se. So.
And this second tier of adjustments amount to $4,333.38 we're talking about.
And the positions include, I can tell you what they are in a minute.
So this would be added into the override budget, is that what you're saying?
I mean, if people, I just wanted to bring it up because I know that there were a number of people that were still on the lower end. And since we're making a significant attempt to try to write some wages, again, it was just a question as to how far do you want to go with it? I mean, we raised up 2 different groups, and do you want to consider doing an adjustment based on an override for the next group that are still on the lower end, but maybe above 10%? And I can bring up and at least say who these positions are, if I can find it.
So when you say above 10%, but they're still below the benchmark, right?
Yeah, they're just between 10 and 15%. So really not that much more than, one is the custodian. One is the admin assistant to the treasurer collector. This is at 12.68% above the minimum proposed salary. Custodian is 13.62% above the minimum. So that, they're in the lower range, but they're not up to the median level.
But isn't it more telling to talk about where they are with a benchmark? No? I mean, how short are they?
Yeah, okay, if you want to. We didn't do that for the other ones, but I mean, I'm happy to say they're, so the custodian is minus 10% on the proposed range benchmark. The next person would be the admin assistant to the treasurer collector is minus 9% below the benchmark. And circulation desk librarian is minus 6.7%. Assistant town accountant, minus 9% below proposed benchmark. Let's see. Town clerk, minus 7.79% below benchmark. Principal assessor, minus 9.33% below benchmark. And library director, minus 11.54% below benchmark. So those are the positions that are, still off the proposed range benchmark. So it would just be a question whether we wanted to take an additional step in the direction of wages subject to an override.
Send me a message.
And that equals, sorry, go ahead.
On the hallway.
Yeah.
That equals,
so that equals 4,000.
4,000 or something?
$4,333.38.
Not appropriate. So you guys need mean to each other? Or?
So should we bring up the spreadsheet and take a look at what that means then, and where we, if we could find that amount? I mean, we still got to stay within the total of the 714 for the override, right?
We're voting on that tonight.
Okay, I guess
it's not, the budget's already done. It's, that's already set. I'm just asking, we have, tonight we're voting to finalize the articles and also the override.
Yeah. Well, and I guess where I'm a little confused, and sorry if I'm just not understanding this, but the Finance Committee is meeting separately, and they're going to give us their budget recommendations like in about 10 days. Is that right?
No, they're going to be going over all the articles and saying they either support them or don't for the town meeting.
Okay, I thought they had more to tell us. Okay, maybe I misunderstood then.
No, I think that we're out of time, in terms of that. What they're going to do is go over all the articles, and usually it says in the bottom, recommended by the Finance Committee. So they'll be going through all of them and making a decision about whether they recommend it.
And one of which is, and two of which is the balanced budget and the override budget.
Yeah. Okay.
So they're certainly going to have some recommendations, I think.
Okay, I understand. Okay.
So our job tonight is to approve all the articles and also approve the debt exclusions and all of that. Actually, it says review FY22 operating budget and FY22 capital recommendations to review. I think we're pretty well done with those. That was the only other thing I had to raise. I don't know if anybody else wants to talk about anything else. I just wanted to know whether or not people wanted to take an additional step on the wages or not.
Well, this would take care of the bulk of the admin assistant and lower level department personnel, right? In terms of their salary scale, lower level salary scale.
I think that would do, it would help. I mean, additional 2% it would cost a total of 4,000 something. And yes, it would mean adding it to the 714, and it would be just subject to an override. I don't know if you have any documents, Francine, that you can share that provides a little bit more detail or not. No?
I don't, Ed, I sent them and I sent it to Matt.
Yeah, let me see if I can put it up.
Okay. It's there.
Hang on.
I'm not using the computer that I used to produce that. So that's the problem.
And you really like this thing.
I mean, I think at one point we had said if we were going to do the override, if we had to go in that direction, that we would try to do as much as we could for the salary adjustments at one point in time. So
it's the bottom
You
half.
see that?
Yeah. That's the bottom half we're talking about. Scroll down.
Emma.
There, yeah, keep going. Okay, there you go.
What is it?
Does that have the adjustment to the town clerk's position?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So
And I will
go
I
ahead.
will tell you that the custodian has stated that he doesn't want an increase, so I don't know what his retirement earnings situation is, but he has said that he did not want an increase.
So then we're looking at just
Basically 4,000 then.
$4,000, right?
So let me understand though, the FY 22, that's the extra amount we would have to find. Is that column? Is that what that means?
Right.
So that's the extra amount each person would get if we put it in the override budget.
Yes. And the two columns at the top, the headings are reversed. If you see, the first one is current hourly wage, yearly income, column 2. The title for the third column should be proposed hourly wage increase. Then the next column is the number of hours per week worked. Okay, those two need to be reversed.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was going to ask about that. Yeah. Okay. And so the new FY 22 per person, that's their yearly additional amount. Is that right?
Increase, yes.
Well, I would be supportive of that. That doesn't look like something outrageous as far as I'm concerned. When we're looking at some of the other things that we've had to deal with, $4,000 I think could go a long way in terms of at least letting people feel like we are trying to do something to regularize everybody's salaries the best we could.
Well, and to stabilize our workforce, which is important to the town.
Well, absolutely, yeah, but.
Well, I support it. I think that the number one priority for me this year was wages. It's been a very difficult year, and I think that people have been, lower. I mean, half the town, half the municipal employees were lower than the proposed median. So if, adding $4,000 to an override that's $714, I just don't think is going, people are going to support it or not. It's not going to be because there are increases in wages for people that are underpaid. I just don't think that's going to be, and the money will be there next time, and if it's approved. So I think I agree with Chris. I think it will go a long way to let people know that we're trying to right things.
And so, Matt, your thoughts are that this would be a deal breaker?
Yeah, I don't support it.
$4,000 versus $714.
Yeah, I don't support doing this in an override budget.
Mm-hmm.
Even though once those taxes are raised, the money would still be available next year to put into these lines. I mean, it's not a one-time thing. I mean, if it's approved, right?
Matt, there are wage increases in this override.
Yeah, like
in
the
other
school.
categories.
Those are, I get it. I mean, those are contractual increases that we're obligated to, regardless of whether we pass the override or not.
Mm-hmm.
Putting these in the override, then why aren't we putting the other ones in the override, or why aren't we putting these ones in the balance? I mean, I don't.
Because these are closer to the proposed range. I mean.
Yes, and on a document that I don't support the adoption of.
Okay, that makes sense, and I get what you're saying with that. So.
Because I don't think it was vetted. I don't think it was really vetted at all, and so I've been apprehensive about the adoption of that. There's no need to say more about it. It's passed and it's adopted, and so I'm not going to cast any more stones. And it's not to discredit the work that was involved in it. It's just I don't believe that it was checked, and I just have a problem with a lot of math being done without a lot of checking.
But the baseline we know is accurate. The initial measurement is accurate. The proposed increases are based on data gathered from other towns. and I guess averaged and put into these three subsequent categories. You agree with that?
Are you asking me that?
Yeah.
Yeah, but that research was done by one individual and a lot of it done by phone. I mean, it's and not necessarily an individual. I mean, this isn't a wage study, right? I mean, this isn't done by an official organization.
I think you do have to read what it says, Matt, because if you read what it says, there's a preamble to it. I mean, it basically says the town, that it was a compact grant here that was used back in 2017. The town received a community compact grant to hire a personnel consultant to help with job descriptions, classifications, compensations.
Yeah, that's Jacobs.
Yeah.
Not ARC's.
Well, this is what it's based on.
Yes, his data is based on what we got from the Jacob study.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
all Art did was present that Jacob study to us at one select board meeting like over a year ago.
It says Jacobs Consulting used quantitative data analysis to provide an equitable solution in order to maximize the fairness and competitiveness of the town's compensation classification structure. The following activities took place: meetings with town administration, PQB, and key management staff, interviews with department heads in person, salary survey analysis, writing of job descriptions, rating and ranking of positions. Then they followed up then it goes on. So I think it was not just written in any way by one person. I think that it was based on the PQB at the time and also the Jacob study, which was done in 2017. So anyway, back to the question at hand is whether or not people support having this increase. I just feel too that when it comes to contracted employees, for many of them, they not only get a COLA, but they also get a step increase. For a lot of our town employees, they're not getting a step increase. They're just getting a COLA. And out of the last 3 years, they got one. So I'm totally in support of trying to do this. And I don't think a $4,000 increase to an existing override is going to make or break. If anything, it might help because it might make more people support it if they know that it's going to go to, improve wages.
Well, the other way to go is not to increase the override request and go back and see what we could carve out as that amounts to about $4,000. Can we do that? Or that's done?
Keep the total, you mean, at the 714?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not in favor of it. I'm just suggesting it as an alternative. If this is some number that's going to, be so unattractive. If 714 is the magic number, not 718.
Matt, do you think there's $4,000 to be found in the operating budget?
In the override budget.
Override budget.
Oh, I thought you were advocating going back into the operating budget and looking for the 4,000.
No.
No, okay. So you're talking about possibly keeping the same amount of the override and just trying to carve out the $4,000 and remove something that might be there?
Well, actually, Rena, you bring up a point. We could do the other way around, as you suggested. We could go back to the balanced budget, see what we could carve out of that, and then not touch the override at all. I guess we have two ways we could go here.
Well, I think that wasn't the operating budget already a done deal, Ed?
Yeah.
No, you can go back in, but here's the caveat.
Okay.
Even if you go back into the balanced budget, the remaining balance, if you add in the $4,000, you're going to have to take out $4,000 from somewhere else.
Right.
So here becomes the caveat. If you take it out in the operating balanced budget, are you going to take the same amount and the same line items out in the override budget? Because if you don't do that, it grows to $718,000 anyway.
No, it does. How's that?
Why?
Yeah. No, well, that makes sense, Ed. I hear you.
Yeah, because basically right now you've got items in the balanced budget that are the same that's in the
Override budget.
Override.
Plus
Then
addition.
you've got items that have increased in the override budget. So theoretically, if you go back and I'll do this as an example.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, I get it.
Let's say you put these into the operating budget and the balance budget of the operating budget, and I'm just going to say it's $4,000 even. And to do that, I volunteer again to say, okay, to make it balanced, take $4,000 out of my salary. You take it out in the operating budget, the balanced operating budget. However, it's still listed at that total in the override budget. So you increase these other line items. You haven't decreased my salary in this case in the override. So therefore, the override has now gone up by $4,000. You would have to, if you wanted to keep it in balance at the 714,502.49, you would also have to reduce my salary in the override budget.
Right. So kind of what we did during the last budget exercise is that whatever we had in the balanced budget, we did not increase in the override for salaries, with one exception, I think, right? I think we did for the library in order to make the accreditation.
Right, yes.
Right.
Okay.
Just so you can accreditation.
Right.
Yeah, okay, I got it.
Well, okay, so
it's the decision whether or not to vote to increase the override budget. And could I just show you one other consider, it's not a lot of money, but there is a little bit of savings. Ed, if you would go up to the chart that's on the top of the first chart. Okay, you see the yellow?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the two yellow bands. The COA administrative assistant was charged in at too much money. It was charged in on the budget that we voted on. It was charged in at 570.02, like the administrative assistant for the assessor. So we reduced that to 222.89. What was omitted was the adjustment for the administrative assistant to the town administrator. And so including that additional 2% in there amounted to increased her to 542. It's an additional. So what we saved up above in between the assessor administrative assistant and the COA administrative assistant was $347.13. By putting the 2% into the town administrator's assistant, we only added in $308.69. So we're like $39 to the good here, but that's just a minor difference.
So there was a mistake in the balanced budget, is what you're saying?
Right.
Well, then maybe we should pull back up that spreadsheet that we looked at last meeting, no?
Well, I think we can.
Well, just to check
put
that
$39 into a category.
Well, just to check the formula. So you're saying that the increase, so the amount in the balanced budget for the admin assistant COA is not currently 58, is not what we put in the budget?
Yes, that's right. The increase was.
I don't have the budget handy.
Isn't the admin assist coming out of the state formula grant?
Partially.
Partially.
I thought the other person was.
7 hours out of the general fund and 3 hours out of the state grant.
Right. So, and then the other one is the volunteer person is coming out of the state grant, right? So.
Right.
Yeah.
And so your figures there accounted for that difference between operating and state grant?
Yeah, it's 7 hours there, right?
Okay. Yes, I see. Okay.
Yeah. So what you're saying though, Francine, is we put the increase for the admin assistant assessor when we adjusted that that came up to $570 more. That
Right.
same amount was carried down into the COA admin, and it shouldn't have been. Is that what you're saying?
I believe that that's what's happened.
Okay.
Okay. And then we didn't adjust the town administrator assistant at all?
No, no.
Was she in red or no? No?
She was in the category that was below the chart.
Right. But I mean, did we not even adjust in the base budget?
Let me go back.
I'm assuming we did the 2%.
Yeah.
Yes, 2% was in there.
Yeah, the 2% was in there, but the adjustment beyond the 2% was not in there.
Okay, so are these all separate lines underneath the weight on the budget, Ed?
No,
So these are all just be rolled up into one line, and then additional 39 or
No.
something dollars will just be
No.
added to,
They are.
no, most of their individual lines, but a couple, one or two of them are a combined line.
okay,
Right, but the two we're making the change to are individual lines.
so I think we need to go back and write this difference here as, to be totally accurate about it.
Yes,
Yeah, because that'll be a little bit off in terms of that total of the 10,008 from what you're saying. It'll be, or whatever it was, because I'm just trying to pull up the budget from.
You want me to put it on the screen?
yes.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Why don't we? It's easier.
Yeah. Hang on. Okay, now. Okay, why aren't you expanding? Can you see that?
Yep.
Yep.
So let me do this. I'm gonna save it to a new file.
So let's, if we can see the formula, then we can see where it was added there.
Okay, I just want to try to save this as a new document. Yeah. Don't do that. All right. So what was the first one?
First one was the COA admin.
Right.
So that's down next.
Okay. That'll be down the list. So do we want to do the administrative assistant wage?
Right,
Yeah,
right, right.
let's just look at that one.
Okay,
So that's got a 2% increase, right? From 21 to
right.
Correct.
the balance.
Yeah.
And then another 2% would bring it to $14,106.19.
So this,
What?
what's in this category
So
here? We're talking about the assistant town administrator, right?
Right.
So
Yes.
what else is in category 12? Is that it?
That would be it. So if you want me to change
Why is it
this,
called administrative assistant wages?
because she's my administrative assistant.
Okay, I thought it was assistant town administrator. I thought they were different.
No,
Okay.
no.
13,563.65, 16 hours a week. The new one would be 1689 for a total of 14,106.19.
Which column do you want me to put this in? The balanced budget?
Yes.
Tab 1, or
Yeah,
we should say the budget?
Yeah.
This one?
yep.
Yeah.
14,106.19.
14,106.19.
Yes.
And why isn't this not taking it? Okay. 14,106. Come on. 0.19. Okay.
Okay.
And that would become the same in the override budget.
Right.
Okay.
And
Now, do
then,
you want me to go down to the COA
Yeah.
pages
please.
before we forget about that?
Yeah.
yep.
And right. Okay, so here's COA wages at, why is this doing this?
See the difference? Okay, look at the formula up here. There
That's
was
61.
Yeah, there's too much. There's 570 put in up there. Look at the formula.
Okay, so how much do you want put into it?
$222.89.
Okay, and we want that to be the same in the override budget.
Yep.
On
Okay,
the spreadsheet, Francine, that I just took a picture of that you had up here, it was 581351.
Where are you?
Yeah, something.
Yes, it was.
So something got multiplied wrong.
God.
So it should be
Ms.
proposed hourly
Kane
wage.
has her
15
hand up.
What?
Ms. Kane has her hand up.
Okay, go ahead, Francine.
It's Janet.
Janet.
Yeah.
On behalf of the COA.
Yes, Janet Kane, Glendale Road, Chair of the Council on Aging. The budget request from us that was approved for the admin was $5,814.24. That was the number that was approved for the COA admin, administrative assistant.
Okay, because what we have is, the current wage is $15.30, and then proposed hourly wage would go up to $15.91. $15.91 times 7 hours per week times, I think, 52.2.
Correct. It's 5814.24.
So what's
Listed on your other spreadsheet that you were showing before.
Yeah, but here it says 5813.51. So let me just do the math. 1591 times 7.
Yeah, it comes out to be 5813.51.
I'm going to mute myself before I have a dog bark. Oops, didn't make.
Oh, Almost.
71 times 7 times 52.2.
Right.
Oh, that didn't come out right. Sorry.
So can you put a formula in there, Ed, for that instead of the 5788? Or is that, what do we have for a formula? So that's the 2% right there.
Well, if I could do this.
Add that to that. Yep.
Well, I was actually just going to multiply it by 2%. But
Whatever.
let's see. What the heck?
Yep. 5, 6.
That didn't work.
142 plus
Oh, good Lord.
2.
Let's see, equals that.
Plus the 222.
Times.
Oh, no. Okay, never mind.
Done.
That comes out at 5789.95.
Yeah.
That's still not the right number, though.
Yeah,
Well-
I got 58, 13, 51.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Janet.
Well,
Okay. So if you look back at the spreadsheet that was done, I mean, it looks like when I look at the 1530 times 7 times 52.2, that current income should be 5590.62. So I don't know if there's a mistake in the spreadsheet initially.
Which column, Janet? Sorry. In this spreadsheet?
Well,
go all the way to the beginning, to the yearly current salary.
if you go to her current salary,
Instead of 5565, it should be 5590.62.
so there's a mistake in the spreadsheet. If you take,
Well, except that's what was approved in the fiscal year 21 budget.
Okay. I hear you, Ed.
so I don't know how you get 1530 times 7 times 52.2 and come up with the wrong number in this year's budget then. This current year's budget, but we should correct that and give her the increase.
Can't. That is what was approved for the fiscal year 21 budget.
No, going for 52, for 22, she's saying.
I'm not asking you to correct it. I'm asking it to be corrected in the new salary
For 22.
for 22. If there was a mistake in last year's salary in the spreadsheet, then we should just make a 1591 times 7 times 52.2 should be the increase, right?
It would be 5092 and then 2% of that. So times 1.02 is 1622. And then if we do an additional 2%, right?
I don't know where you are, Rini. I'm sorry. You lost.
What did you say was the current hourly rate?
Her new rate that was proposed was 1591. She went from 1530 to 1591. That's the 4% increase. So 1591 times her hours times 52.2 should be the number that we would use, I would assume, like everybody else.
It would be 5813.51.
Yeah, 5813.51.
Yeah, I got the same thing.
I know we can't, correct the number from this year. I'm just
So
saying.
that would be in the balanced budget one. Okay, that's where you want to put that, right? Okay, got it.
The accurate
What
number.
do you want there?
And in the override.
5813 and 51 cents. So that's less of an increase than what was already in the budget, which should counteract then what we did up above, right?
Yeah.
A little bit.
Probably a little bit. So
Well, it should cover it because that was 500 and 200 here. Yeah.
You got yeah.
$50 savings, right?
That would be about right.
Okay.
Okay.
The savings was how much? 30 something?
50.
Okay.
50.
Okay.
Or we can put it in postage or telephones or.
Well, you're going to put it into some of those other wage adjustments.
Yep, that's fine.
Okay. So now from down below of that second tier of adjustments you want to make.
We're discussing. I don't think we've voted. I don't think we've voted on anything. I don't know if there's agreement. I think we're supportive of it, but I guess we're right now. Are we deciding whether or not this is going to end up in the regular budget or not? Is that where we are right now?
Well, I don't think we could put it only in the override budget because that wouldn't. Well, no. So all these in red. I'm sorry. I'm going to take that back. Everything we put in red just now is both in the balanced budget and the override budget, right?
Yeah, those are the ones that we're kind of protecting from.
Yeah.
Those are the ones we supported. Those are the lowest.
So this actual extra 4,000 would have to, in order to be consistent, it seems like it would have to be in both sides of the budget, wouldn't it? Both columns? Rather than adding it. I mean, our choice is to add it to the 714 override or to keep our bottom totals the same, right? In both columns.
Right. So
but then that means we've got to find $4,000 in the balanced budget. And out of that, I mean, the only one that, well, the only one that comes to my brain because I was fighting for it is the reserve fund, which we put in what?
$2,000.
2,000. So if we wipe out the reserve fund like we've done in the past, that's 2,000. That would cover what we're just talking about, but we still got to find another 2,000, right?
Yeah.
So that would be one option, but.
Right now, is the Mosquito program funded in the operational budget?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I think we kept it at 5,000.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, that's what the cost of it is. So.
Right. Yeah. Right. So
I think we had a lot of discussion about it, and the decision was made not to fund it in anything else. I think we also were very, spent a lot of time trying to even out those balances on the accounts. I certainly don't want to mess with that after all the work was done to, you know, figure out the free cash amount and all that. I don't want to shift anything. I can't imagine being able to take $4,000 out of this budget.
Well, if you take 2,000, just wipe out the reserve fund. That's 2,000 right there.
Mm-hmm.
So then you've got what? I mean, 2,000 left. That gets you four lines for $500 each, just to make the math simple.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any suggestions on where else it could be taken from?
Well, no. If Ed, you could kind of scroll a little bit. I don't know. I'm looking on my phone budget, which is very small. Oops. Sorry.
Come up again. No. What happened here?
What happened? What'd you do?
I don't know. I can't seem to get it to come back. No. Come on. Stop the share. Let me try this again. Can you see that?
Nope, not yet.
No.
All right. How about now?
Yep.
Yes.
Yes.
So,
And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this a little more complicated because I'm going to recommend that any reductions be made to accounts that either the select board or myself control and not anyone else.
mm-hmm.
I agree. That's fair to everybody.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. So if we took out 2,000 on reserve fund, for example.
Mhm. Yeah.
But don't forget, that's one that the Finance Committee very vehemently supported.
Well, so did I, but not everybody did. We didn't have it last year, so I mean, if we don't use that, then I don't see this as a possible exercise to reduce the balanced budget. I think we would have to just put it somehow in the override budget alone. I mean, by not using that 2,000, I think it's going to be harder to come up with 4,000 out of all the other lines, and that would take us much more time.
Ed, can you just scroll down to the next category, please?
Yeah, hang on. I'm trying to unmute Matt, but I don't seem to be having any luck at doing that. There.
I just realized I was on mute.
Sorry about that. Okay. Oh my goodness.
There you go.
Good night, buddy. I love you. Sweet dreams, bub.
And where'd you want me to go to, Reedy?
I just wanted you to scroll down so I could see what's what here, that's all.
Yeah.
So just briefly right there on the, just a quickie on the open space committee, by not having it in the balanced budget, does that mean that we don't get it unless we have the override? How did we do that?
That's correct. Probably because there wasn't anything in there previously, and I will also say that there are an awful lot of committees out there that were zeroed out of funds a number of years ago before I got here, and they don't have any funds in their accounts either.
Understood, but I definitely know with all the outreach work that Open Space is doing and all the community meetings they're having, they definitely have some basic postage and stationery needs, that's for sure. But anyway. So
Yeah, they're pretty much into the other departments, I think.
and we took out the disability insurance already, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And how do we figure the amount that we put in for unemployment compensation? Is that a formula or is that just a figure pulled out of the air somewhere? It's $8,000 in there?
Well, I'll also say this right now is that it is extremely low if the override doesn't pass, because the school will be laying off people. pretty much about it.
I think we've taken a step to adjust some wages. I still feel that I don't see a lot of places to take it from. I think that having a reserve fund is pretty important. I guess I would support it if it was added to the override, additional $4,000.
And just stop this exercise.
Yeah.
And just even out the difference in those two wage accounts. Add the whatever, $50 to something, and then that's, yeah, I feel like it's an exercise, like we've gone over this so many times, and I just would feel badly. I'm sure there is room somewhere in, some of the lines, but I just don't feel comfortable taking out of anything at this point.
No, and if we keep the reserve fund in there, I think we would have a hard time finding 4,000 out of the balanced budget.
I think it would only work in our favor as opposed to against us in terms of an override. I think that there were people that, I hope people realize we're trying to increase wages.
So we could take the $50.
You want me to reverse those two?
What's that?
Do you want me to change those back?
No,
those
No.
those stay the same. We just need to, we have an additional, $50 to add
There's 50
to one of the lines to make it balanced.
yeah, the $50 that was a surplus now with those two changes. Just put it somewhere back in the budget, someplace that you think is necessary. The bottom line, you had a $50 and some cents surplus, right? When you go down to the bottom of that column now?
Yeah, I think it's 5068.
I don't know, gas and electric or something.
Okay. Yeah, 5068. Okay. Let me go find. Want me to put it here in gas and electric?
Yeah.
Or,
Might as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or either there or the town hall building expense.
Or the building expenses, maybe?
Yeah.
So let me, it's gonna give me a hard time again. So 25,11771. 68, 13, 21, 167. Okay, so
96 cents. So
interesting. I must have added wrong. Either that or I put in the wrong number. Let me see. Okay. Sorry, the one. Yeah, let's see what we got.
Got it.
Yeah, but now the override budget total has changed. For some reason.
By how much?
Oh, God.
Hold on.
About that same $60.
Well, maybe it's,
So-
it shouldn't be in the override. The same amount shouldn't be over there.
Right. Yeah, I would take it out of the override.
Let's see something here. Don't see why that would have changed it. I cut the. That's the same. I got no idea why that's changing. So let's do this.
So the new town hall is what, Ed? Sorry. Town hall expenses?
Hang on, please.
And 17.7.
$25, $168.39.
Yep.
So something's a little weird here. So I'm gonna write these down. I'm gonna go back to the previous spreadsheet.
Yeah. But
And we're
I'm looking at the
start
spreadsheet.
fresh.
Yeah, I'm looking at the spreadsheet, Ed. What you had in that line for balanced budget was 25,117.71 and added the $50.68. You're correct. You come up with 25,168.39
Okay.
in the balanced budget.
Something. Yeah, something's weird. So let me go down. Wages. Okay, I'm gonna close out of this one. And I'm going to, sorry, oops, come on. Okay. Oh my goodness.
I know. Sorry.
Screen share, Excel. Okay, we should be back to the original. We are. So now we're going to try something different. File. Save as. Go again. D. Okay, so I'm going to come down to administrative assistant wages. And we're going to make that 14,106.19, which will be over here too. And I'm going to go down to the COA wages. Don't do this. There. And I'm going to make that 5813.51 and 5813.51. Okay, so is 714,451.81 58 9 14 1 2.
You're good.
Okay, so this should work if I add $50.68 to both of those accounts.
You're not sharing the screen, Ed. Did you know that? Or did you intend to?
Oh, no, I didn't. I thought I had. Can you see it now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So putting in the $50 in there, in the town hall expenses.
So now I'm going to put the $50 in here.
Right.
17.71 50 68 9 13 8 6 125.
I get 25,168.
68.
And 39 cents.
Right.
39. Okay. So that should bring this to 0. It does. And I'm going to go back up and
so what, is there a new override total? Is that what you're saying?
well, yeah, I'm trying to get that to balance too.
Yeah. So how much is that off? Yeah.
It's 30. Okay, because we asked for 30 there. Okay. And so that one should have dropped. Yeah, it's dropped by the $50.68.
So it's what?
I don't think we want to increase the $30,000
No,
to 30,050.68.
Which one are you talking about?
We've essentially, by doing that, now dropped the override number $50.68.
Okay.
Because I don't think we want to actually ask in the override budget for $50.68 more
right.
in the town hall expense account.
Right, because you already put a large amount in there for the override, right? On that line item. It wasn't equal in that line, right? Right.
Right.
Okay. So now we're at 714,451 and something.
So was the
Yes.
override amount reduced by that same amount?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's reduced by
So now we're-
$50.68.
Okay.
Right. And so that's
Now we're back to, so the two positions have been corrected and the additional
81.
amount was added to the town hall expenses. And since it was an increase in the override amount for that line, it was reduced by that same amount. So back to
Right.
balanced budget with the corrections of the two wages.
Yes.
right.
Correct.
The balance budget is where we were the other night, so that's correct.
Okay, so we're back to being balanced and so
now if we
are
want to
there
add,
any further adjustments anybody wants to propose for the override or for the operating budget?
well, if we want to add in the 4,000 that we just talked about, we have not put that in the override budget.
Great. Are we in agreement, or are you in agreement that we're not going to try to take it out of an operating budget?
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
I don't.
we couldn't find it without
Right.
increase.
Okay,
Yeah, I don't think we should. I don't think we should play with the balanced budget anymore. We made the
Okay.
adjustment that there was a math error. We got that fixed.
okay,
Let's leave the balanced budget alone and do whatever we
Okay.
have to do on the override. I think would be my idea, because I don't think it's possible to find 4,000 out of the balanced budget unless we touch the reserve fund.
okay. I mean, does everybody want to keep the operating budget as is? Do we want to vote to approve this now?
Well, the balanced budget is not different than it was the other night. The total.
No, that's still the same. It's whether or not to add the 4,000.
Okay. Okay. So the total amount's the same.
Yeah.
For the
We
balanced
don't
budget.
have to re-vote because some of the lines have changed? Okay.
Well, we can.
If it's just a total amount, then that's fine. Do we want to vote to see whether or not there's support for changing the override amount?
You need to make a motion, or?
I think that's probably the case before we start doing anything, if that's what people want to do.
Was it an even 4,000?
No, it was a little bit less.
So, but that would be taking out the custodial one that.
Right. The 318.
All right. Well, I'll throw out a motion. Let's. Okay. I move to further adjust wages in the override budget column only for the positions we talked about earlier that are still under the benchmark, totaling some 4,000.
Don't even go to the dollar amount. Just say
Okay.
Increase by an additional 2% for the admin, treasurer, collector.
Okay.
The circulation library.
Yeah, individual at the library, the assistant town accountant, the library director, the principal assessor, the town clerk.
Yes.
Okay. So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second it for discussion purposes.
Okay, so can someone just repeat the total amount of those changes is 4,000 what?
Well,
That's what I was trying to avoid.
What?
Hey, Srini.
What were you trying to avoid?
Mentioning that dollar total, so it didn't have to be calculated.
Well,
Okay, so we won't.
Well, I'm doing it now.
well, if you want to just do the changes to the lines, it'll correct itself in the end if you want to just do it that way.
Well, we have to vote on it and see.
Yeah, okay.
I'd like to hear.
I mean,
I wish I had a crystal ball to know. I don't know this.
$4,014.70.
Yes,
okay, $4,014.70.
yes.
Okay, further discussion about this. And that total amount includes the assistant COA, 7 hours we discussed, and removes the custodian at his request.
Right.
Right.
It does not include the assistant COA. That's already been taken care of.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Any further discussion?
Well, I'd like to hear, Matt has a lot of insight into it from, the perspective of the school concerns, the concerns of the size of it overall. If he's willing to share that, like I said, I wish I had a crystal ball to know if $4,000 is going to make or break it. Or is it, the thing all by itself, whether it was 714 or 718, not going to make it. But we really have to make some adjustment because the expenses in the town have gone up and our revenue has not kept pace. I mean, 2.5% is not enough in any year. And with the added expenses that we've had, to recover from COVID, to go back, to try to get normalcy established in the school, these additional expenses are critical.
Mm-hmm.
And how do we convince people about the importance of this and get their willingness to support it?
Well, and I think, as we said too, it was across various departments because we didn't want it to be just focused on the school. I mean, they have
I agree.
a whole bunch, but we talked about the state of our roads and wanting to be able to provide better services or whatever in terms of our our other departments as well, not just one. So I think we were trying to go more broadly across the budget, right, and even it out a bit.
Certification of the library.
Yeah, all these departments are mentioned in here, and it does go across the board.
Yeah. So,
Matt, you want to chime in at all, or
No, I'm good.
Okay. Well, we have a motion and second. Any further discussion? The decision is about whether to increase the override amount by $4,014 and is it 31 cents? 70 cents.
Well, be careful because you won't really increase the override budget by that amount because it's already dropped $50.68.
Oh, God.
okay.
So let's not mention the amount.
Yeah, let's forget the amount. So, as Ed was suggesting before.
All right, include the positions for an additional 2% in the override. Okay, I guess we should vote on this then. All in favor?
That override amount would increase by $3,964.02.
Okay, let's vote on it. Be done with this thing so we can move on.
Okay. All right.
Roland, no.
Okay.
Fowles, aye.
Groden, aye.
Fishman, aye.
Okay.
Okay, so let's go through here and add the appropriate ones to the override budget.
Francine, if you have your handout handy, if you could just tell him the amounts on the different line, starting with the ones that are general government. So,
okay, it's the administrative assistant for the treasurer collector. For 548.10.
Hold on.
Okay, hang on. Because this has got a couple of salaries in it, so I got to do some math. So I'm adding 548.10.
Yes.
Okay. So that comes up to 59,583.69. Oh,
yeah, you got to take out.
Wipe it out first.
Yep.
583. Okay, what's going on here? $59. 583.69.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, the next one is the assistant town accountant. 407.16.
Hold on.
Okay.
Okay, so that total is supposed to be $20,935.54.
Yes.
Next.
Well, I'm just looking at it. There's a difference here is $406.37. In the spreadsheet, it is
407.16.
16.
I would use what the spreadsheet, I honestly, and how to reconcile this, go with the formula.
So what? 20,529.17 plus 406.37.
Right.
I come up with the same figure Ed has.
And use that.
I mean, I added 406, not 4.
Yes,
Was that?
I hear you. So let's just go
Well,
then. Yeah.
Something's wrong. Then.
Well, the question is, do we do it that way, or is the difference correct?
How much was the difference, Francine? Is it 406?
Yeah, 407.16.
407.16 versus 406.37.
What is going on with this?
You need a plus sign, not an equal sign in there. Equals G19 plus.
Yeah, it equals that plus.
Not plus, not an equals.
4.
Not an equal sign, Ed. Plus.
Okay.
Plus 40 what?
407.16.
All right.
That
There you
comes
go.
up to 20,936.33.
Got it.
Okay. Next.
Okay, next would be the principal assessor.
Oop, right up above. It was in red
Yeah.
or somewhere up there. Right there. Or
There you go, top
top
line.
line.
Let's
Okay,
do this.
What do you want? 651.37. What's the difference, Francine?
825.28.
Sorry, 8.
$825.28.
I'm going to start with the figure you've got, and that doesn't come out to the same amount. So we're going to go back,
Yep.
and we're going to do equals this. There we go again. Plus
8 what? 25?
825.28.
Okay.
there.
Right. And I got the same thing.
Okay. Next.
All right, let's move up to, I'm sorry to jump around, town clerk.
Okay. No, you're still going in order.
Okay. You add $809.10.
What is getting frustrated? There. Equals that plus 809.10.
Yeah, $809.10.
Okay.
Next.
The next one, you ready? It was, both would be in culture, the circulation librarian.
Okay, I'm just going to make the comment. The town clerk
Okay.
That total dollar amount came out less than what your total dollar amount was by a little bit. Doing it that way.
All right.
Okay.
But why? Why should it? I don't understand what's going on.
I
Could be a discrepancy in what the first 2% calculation is. Because according to your calculation, this would be 41,627.22.
right. So if we took this paper is wrong. All right. Okay, so let's just do the 809 to what we have here, the 40. Yeah, I'll do that. 40.
Okay.
669.
So the 809.10.
Point
Yeah.
4
Yeah.
plus
Okay. That's where we are.
809.10.
Yep.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. What's next?
Okay, the next one would be the
You said the librarian.
library, yes, the circulation librarian.
Which is a combined line item. So you want to increase this amount by 511.56, correct?
Right. Right.
Okay. Where did it go?
It's right there.
Oh, it just kicked off to the right. Okay.
Okay.
And so 511.56.
Right.
Comes up at 71,660.50.
And I have, since that's a group number, it's hard for me to check it.
Yeah.
Okay, and then we have one more, if we're ready to go. The last one is the library director.
No, just give me a minute, please.
Okay,
And that's
There's a decimal point there.
oh, come on. What's going on with this thing? 1,660.50. Okay. All right. And
What's the next one, Francine?
the library director. Got it? Okay, for $913.50.
okay, I'm gonna enter the amount. See where it comes out. 46.
029.
942.7.
What?
Wait, Ed, no, there's something wrong.
No, it didn't quite come out. So, well, go the other way. Equals that.
Plus 913.50. Okay,
Okay.
that's right.
I don't understand why the formula for the salaries is not working out the way it should. That doesn't make sense.
No. Okay,
Is there something secret, Matt, that we're missing in terms of our formula? Are we doing something wrong with it?
I don't know, Chris.
Okay, well, with those adjustments, is that all of them, Francine?
that's it.
And then what's our new magic total? Are we anywhere near like we think we are or not?
I can tell you in a second. Oh, come on. Come on. I can do this.
Yep.
714, 502.49. And that equals that minus that. And that's changed 396402.
That was the number we had. Yep.
Yep.
There you go.
Okay.
That's painful.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank
so
you.
I guess we have to go back then to the agenda, which basically has us approving this, the debt exclusions and the override amount.
Yes.
Let's see. Ed, you sent out an email this afternoon that says ballot question revision. So does the agenda have the right language, or is it the email?
It's the email. All I did was in question number 2 on the highway dump truck. Originally it said pay for the bond issued in order to pay costs for the purchase of a new dump truck with plow and sander body. And I added it to changed it to say bond issued in order to pay costs for the purchase of a new single axle, those 2 words added, dump truck with plow and sander body. So it matched up with the article.
Okay.
So if you want, I've got these here, the amended version and now the amended version. So question 1 would now read, shall the town of Southampton be allowed to assess an additional $718,466.51 in real estate and personal property taxes for the purposes of funding the following departments and accounts in the operating budget for the town? Norris Elementary School Department, Police Department, Fire EMS Department, Highway Department, Public Library, Council on Aging, Tree Warden, Select Board, Administration, Accounting Department, Treasurer Collector Department, Legal Department, Town Clerk Election and Registration Department, Telephone, Town Hall Building, IT expenses, equipment, internet service, and web maintenance, postage, annual audit, photocopier lease, and open space committee for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2021. And I am going to add to that from what we did tonight, Assessor's Department.
Okay, and that's all the list of things that would be subject to the override, correct?
Correct.
And the total amount would be 700 and how much?
$718,466.51.
Okay, would somebody like to make a motion to vote on that?
Okay, I move to approve the request for override budget in that amount, 718,466.51 for fiscal year 22.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Further discussion?
We have to redact our previous vote first.
Have we voted on the override yet amount?
You haven't voted on the ballot questions as of yet. That's what this would be.
Thought we voted on a balance and an override budget last meeting.
But you didn't vote on the ballot question, and that's what we're doing here is ballot question language. And then you probably, yes, should come back. Yeah. But you
Okay,
come back
let's do
and
one thing at a time. Good point, Matt. We're voting on the ballot question as Ed read it. There's a motion and a second, I believe. Was there a second?
Yeah, I second it.
Okay. Any further discussion on this language for the ballot question? Hearing none, all in favor?
Fishman, aye.
Fowles, aye.
Roden, aye.
Roland, no.
Okay. It carries. Let's take care of the business of voting in favor of this override budget. If we, I guess we should have a motion then to rescind our previous motion on the total amount of the override budget in favor of the current one, which is 700 and...
I'll give you two figures. The budget itself totals $19,728.51, and the override dollar amount over the balanced budget would be $718,466.51.
Okay. Would someone like to make a motion to rescind our previous vote on the override budget?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, further discussion? All in favor?
Fishman, aye.
Fowles, aye.
Roland, no.
Okay. I think we have to really focus on, I mean, I was just reading earlier today some of the comments on social media, and there's just so much, information that's not 100% accurate. So I hope that if we really feel strongly about supporting primarily the school, that we do all we can to have this override budget pass. I mean, as usual, it's the will of the voters, but part of it is getting people to vote. So let's move on to the other.
Question before you move on. Did you vote to rescind your previous vote and then vote to approve?
Yes.
The new dollar amounts? Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. I thought I only heard one motion and vote, so.
Yep. So we're done with the operating budget. We're done with the override budget. And now we're going to look at two other ballot questions.
We did not redo the balanced budget, for the record.
Well, okay.
We voted on
The dollar amount did not
question,
change.
but not the.
Yeah.
But
Thank you. The dollar amount.
If
did
Ed
not
cares
change.
about that, or if anybody, if that matters procedurally.
Nope. Good point of clarification. The dollar amount didn't change. We didn't vote specifically about that. It was only the override amount. So at this point, we have two additional ballot questions. Would someone like to make a motion to approve the ballot questions?
So we're not going to vote on approving the balanced budget again?
I don't think the.
I would, only because while the dollar total hasn't changed, I believe 3 account lines have.
Okay, so if we need
All
to have a motion for that, would someone like to make it?
All right, I'll make a
We
motion
have to rescind first.
well, the total didn't change though, Matt.
Okay,
So,
fine. I'm just asking. I don't want to
Yeah.
get caught up in a procedural nightmare. That's all.
correct. No, I agree.
Right.
Okay, so, so I move to approve the balanced budget. Sorry?
You move to rescind the vote of the select board
Okay.
on the balanced budget from your meeting of 5/6/2021.
Okay, fine. And then combine it with this one, or I'm just rescinding?
No, make it 2 separate motions, please.
Okay, so I moved
And
to
votes.
rescind the select board vote on the balanced budget amount that was held during the meeting of 5/6/2021.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Fishman, aye.
Fowles eye.
Roland, aye.
And Groden, aye. Okay, that takes care of the operating budget and the override amount. Let's go to the 2 other.
Now, do we
Ballot
need to
question.
reapprove the budget?
We need to approve
Now
this
you-
one again.
Correct.
So that was just to rescind?
I was
Yes.
rescinding the old one. Now I need to approve the new one.
Okay,
Yeah.
I thought we did it together. Okay.
Nope.
So, would someone like to make a motion to approve the current budget?
All right, I will make a motion to approve the balanced budget for FY '22 in the amount of $18,289,262.
Second.
With the amendments made to the three accounts at tonight's meeting.
Okay. Yes, with that added.
Second, is there a second?
Yes, my second with the.
Okay, Chris and then Matt. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Fishman, aye.
Fowles eye.
Groden, aye.
Roland, aye.
Okay. Now I think we're done with the budgets. Let's
Yeah.
talk about the 2 other ballot questions. The first is the highway single axle with plow and sander dump truck replacement, debt exclusion of $261,000.
Yeah.
Is there a
We could-
motion to approve that ballot question?
No, the ballot question is question number 2, shall the town of Southampton be allowed to exempt from the provision of Proposition 2 1/2, so-called, the amounts required to pay for the bond issued in order to pay costs for the purchase of a new single axle dump truck with a plow and sander body for the highway department, including any and all costs incidental or related thereto.
And there's no stipulation that a dollar amount has to be in here. Is that correct?
That is correct. We're following the DOR guidelines and their templates to be legal.
Okay, so that was the motion. I'll second that. Yes?
Yep, thank you. Any further questions, discussion? All in favor?
Fowles eye.
Groden, aye.
Roland, aye.
I'll go along. Fishman, aye. I guess my question is, how do people know the amount? But if that's how we're supposed to do it, I'll accept that and say aye.
Ed, you could stop sharing this budget, please.
I
Yeah,
find
don't-
it difficult sometimes because I think when people read it, they assume that it's an override as opposed to a debt exclusion. And I don't know if there's any other way to get that across to people, but I know that's been a point of confusion in the past.
Yeah, I know using language that's not plain English, exempt from the provisions of Proposition
Yeah.
half. Why don't we
Yep.
just say what it is?
I know.
It makes it difficult, yes.
Well, here we are, here where we are in this. I have to recommend what the legal language is.
Yes.
Okay. I am not going to put in there something that is not legal and then have a challenge to this come up after the fact and have everyone point at me.
No,
Okay.
no one is saying that. We just wish that we could communicate in lay terms so that people really understood clearly what it is we were asking them.
Can we ask the lawyers if another town does this differently? Can we ask the lawyers if other towns write this differently? Like, is there another way to write this so that people can understand it?
This has gone through our legal counsel.
Well, I get that, and I get that they're cool with it, but I'm just kind of wondering if they've seen, given that they do this not just for us, other people write this differently, like in plain English, and if that would also pass their litmus test. Can we at least ask them?
I can tell you what they have said, and it goes back to what I just applied, because I did ask the question about the dollar amounts came up, and their advice is to go with the DLS template because of the fact that if there is a challenge after the fact and it was written that way and we lose, we lose.
Okay.
So I'm not going to recommend that we do that. I mean, you could take a vote to make me put it in there, and then if there's a challenge, it goes back to the select board. But this is the legal way to do this.
And we don't have enough money in our legal line.
All right. So when do the voters, just so I'm clear, when do the voters understand what the truck is going to cost? How do they know that?
Well, if they go to town meeting, they will know because the article at town meeting has the dollar amount in it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. So this is the ballot question. Okay. Got it.
That clears a lot. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. We kind of have the cart before the horse. Yeah. I'm on the town meeting. I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think the other factor that plays in here is once it goes to the ballot question, we are borrowing. So
yeah,
if the total of borrowing for that over the period of time that you borrow it adds up to, $270,000.
Yeah.
And you put in 261, and then the flip side of that is once you break it down into borrowing, if this came out to, between principal interest, like, $50,000 a year, that's another figure. So.
Yep. Okay. Understood.
Okay.
Okay. Did we vote on that? Are we agreed with that? Where are we?
We did. We voted on it.
Okay, so you ready to move on to the next question?
And yeah, okay.
Yeah, this one has to do
Question 3 reads, shall the town of Southampton be allowed to exempt from the provisions of Proposition 2 1/2, so-called, the amounts required to pay for the bond issued in order to pay costs for the acquisition of the right-of-way and or design for the town greenway, bike and pedestrian path, including all costs incidental or related thereto?
Can I have a motion to approve that question, please?
So move.
I'll second it.
All right, Francine and then Chris. Now, the town was awarded a $100,000 grant, correct, towards this purchase, and that would have to be made clear to the people. Similarly to the bridge, we have money on the table. Do we want to supplement to not lose the amount? This is to ask voters if they want to come up with the difference that it would take to purchase this and or put money towards the design. And is that just going to be explained after the motion is read or article is read?
Well, hopefully the Greenway Committee would.
Well, and I will also put it in the summary portion.
Okay. All right. That's what I was kind of wondering.
It has the motions and the summaries in it too.
Okay. Any further questions or discussion about this?
Can we put the explanation of a debt exclusion override in the summary too?
I would definitely favor that.
What'd you say, Matt?
Can we put the lay term explanation of what a debt exclusion override is and what it means in the summary?
I suppose I could do that.
That would be helpful.
I think that would be really helpful.
Yeah.
I think there's so much misinformation about many things, but definitely that would be a good explanation.
Yeah.
But good idea, Matt.
Okay, all in favor?
Fishman, aye.
Fowles eye.
Roland,
Roland, aye. Okay, so that takes care of the ballot questions, the three of them. We also had revenue and expenditure report update. We got a new copy. I don't know if it was that new though, really. The revenue still is up till the end of December. Anybody
Correct.
want to comment on anything on the expense report?
Wait, we did the dump truck?
Yeah.
Okay.
The dump truck went into stabilization, right?
No, the big dump truck.
Is that cash?
Yeah, we did the.
Okay. All right. Never mind.
Yeah, the other one is free cash.
Okay.
Or wherever, yeah.
Oh yeah, it's coming up. It's coming
Yeah.
up.
All right.
Anyway, do you want to talk about the revenue and expenditures report at all?
I don't really think there was
Okay.
any update since the last meeting you had.
No.
Okay. And then we already did the operating budget. Then review of the capital recommendations. There pretty much isn't any change from the last time after doing the math on the free cash. So do you want to just go
No.
right into the articles for the town meeting?
And would you do me one favor? And I know you voted this at a previous meeting, but would you also vote again to hold the special election for the ballot questions on June 22nd, along with the annual town election? And then
Yeah,
I can just use one date. See, you did, but this way I can just use one date in the letter I send
Okay.
Lucy, the town clerk.
Okay, would someone like to make a motion about the special election?
I move to hold a special election on June 22nd, the same date as the regular annual town election.
Is there a second?
I'll
Do we
second that.
Do we need to say for the purposes of having an override ballot question or not?
Well, I would probably just say for the purpose of having ballot questions, and you can say associated with a Proposition 2.5 override vote and debt exclusion votes.
Okay.
All right.
Do you want me to revise that, or is that on the floor? Take it the way it is?
Okay.
Yeah, just stipulate
You're
that,
okay
and
with that,
I'll
Mike?
stipulate it in my second.
Okay.
And then Matt, did you second it?
I did, and I second the revision.
Okay. All right, all in favor?
Fishman, aye.
Fowles eye.
Roland,
And Groden, aye. Okay, well, moving right along, we're up to the articles for the annual town meeting. And now, we don't have a draft of the actual town meeting warrant. Are we voting on all of these individually? Or are we going to vote on the warrant when we get a copy of the draft?
You'll vote on the warrant when you get a copy of the draft. I just put them on here for informational purposes.
Okay. Are there any other questions about any of these articles? I think we approved them last time, didn't we, by sections?
We did.
And there's no changes, right?
No additions to it.
Probably the only changes that I can think of is Matt pointed out to me that I think I had $9,750 on the capital project for the water line replacement in the cemetery. So I changed that to the 9,700. And then the only other change is I went back and looked again, and I changed the correct amount for the MS4 stormwater that is needed, that will come from free cash, is $28,875.
Okay. I don't think we have to vote on this though right now though, right? We'll just vote on the final article for the warrant or final warrant.
Correct. Yeah, I put it here for your information and anyone that was interested that wanted to look at or print the agenda.
Yeah. And Ed, do we have any sense of which of the bylaws the legal counsel folks are getting through for us, or we don't know yet?
Don't know yet for sure. So, Michelle said she'd get as many as she could, and she was actually trying to get all of them done. But
okay, so we'd have those for the next time we meet then.
Yes, because I have to put them in the warrant.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. No licenses, no warrants, no other documents. Calendar May 18th and June 1st for select board meetings. Any other business that we need to talk about before the next select board meeting?
Were you going to wait till the next select board meeting, or were you going to talk about a annual town report dedication?
Oh, yeah. Originally, there was discussion about Virginia Ahart being nominated. We did find out from Judy that actually she did receive it on her own, I think in 2016, so actually not that long ago. Prior to that, she and her husband had been awarded the dedication. There have been years when it was not dedicated to anyone, but thank you for the list of the last several years. I had actually said that either John Martin or Marla Hank would be certainly deserving of some recognition for the amount of volunteer hours they've put in over the years. But again, that was just an idea. We didn't get any other further nominations outside of the committee. I just thought I would just throw out those names and see what people felt about a dedication to either one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Chris.
No, I was going to say I think both are deserving for sure. Being the liaison to Concom, I can attest to how much extra work Marla does just to make Concom function and know all the rules and regulations that they have to abide by. It's an immense amount of work for a volunteer. Having said that, I think I would maybe think towards John Martin only because he's now left us, and it might make sense to dedicate something this year to him, given his recent departure. I don't know. I could go either way. But.
I think that I also think they're both deserving. I think John, he served for 2 full terms in the select board and then additional before moving out of town. He was a very big presence in the finance committee, public safety committee. I think he just played a last year or two with a lot of interviews and a lot of building inspector. And I just think that he, and the town, the outdoor town meeting, he was on he did a lot. So yeah. I think I would support it being acknowledged for him.
I agree.
Okay, would somebody like to make a motion then to that effect?
I'll move to nominate John Martin as the recipient of the annual town report dedication.
Second.
Okay, further discussion? All in favor?
Tishman, aye.
Falls aye.
Roland, aye. And
Groden, aye. Thank you. Is there any other, I think we probably have a picture. I think I've seen a nice picture of him. I'm happy to shoot him an email and just let him know that we voted. And I don't know if we want to ask him to supply a picture, or what do you think, Ed?
Yeah, it'd probably be the best bet.
Ask him if he wants to submit a photo himself.
Sure.
I'm sure we have some from the past, but okay. Any other business? Okay.
Yeah.
Open time for the public. The select board reserves a portion of its meeting for public comment and encourages participation. Is there anybody from the public who would like to speak at this point? I can't see everybody, but I don't see anybody hand raised here either. So
No.
I guess the only other question I had is, we have a meeting next week. Maybe on the agenda, we can talk about, we already talked about pulling together the committee to discuss the town meeting outdoors. I understand that some things have already started to happen in terms of, like either chairs or microphones and that sort of thing. But can we talk about that the next meeting?
Sure,
Okay,
absolutely.
Great. Is there anything else anybody wants to add to next agenda? No?
No, don't think so.
All right. So I guess at that point, we have no correspondence that I'm aware of, no executive session. So I will ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Chris and Matt, all in favor?
Fishman, aye.
Falls eye.
Roland,
Okay. Well, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Have a good
Good night.
night.
All right. Night, everybody.
Good night.